All right, welcome to this week's Q&A. We're back again, back-to-back, second time doing this. And so if you guys don't know, normally my videos are more of an edited style, more explanation, but this is just more of a raw, like, kind of get to know me, get to know my stances on the MMA world, the topics that everybody's doing. As you can see, we all decked out here for Christmas, and Christmas coming up. I think it's Saturday, Sunday, whatever one it is. We're here anyway, and that there's always going to be uploads on Christmas. Come on now, but couple of days, and there's a lot of good questions this week. If you guys want to comment for next week's Q&A, which will be on Thursday, next Thursday, please let me know. Well, comment the questions, or you could just comment hashtag AskJack or AskJackMMA, and those questions will come up. Now, the thing is that you guys have been supporting me through all of this. You guys have been commenting such nice comments, liking the videos, viewing it as soon as I upload. And, I just want to give a thanks. And I wish I could give a Christmas present, but I actually do have a Christmas present I can give all of you, and that's Audible. I have to read this book for school, but I hate reading. What do I do? Well, click the link in the description and join Audible. Audible lets you enjoy all your audio entertainment in one place. You'll always find the best of what you love or something new to discover. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, including Michael Bisping's autobiography, Quitters Never Win. Look at me, I'm learning without reading. Just go to audibletrial.com/JackWalter with 2 R's and get a 30-day free trial on me. You'll be getting a free trial and helping support the channel. That's www.audibletrial.com/JackWalter with 2 R's. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video. All right, we're going to get to the first question from MySpace Barrels Broken? I don't even know. MySpace Barrels Broken asks, will Yoel Romero become Bellator champion? Now, I don't know why I asked this with all these dashes, but whatever it is. Obviously, look, Yoel Romero was in the UFC, we all know. He went to Bellator. Now he's fighting for the title at Bellator 290, I believe, against Vadim Nemkov. Vadim looked good in his last fight. I did see. I'm not much of a Bellator. I'm not an avid Bellator watcher, just because, if I have to watch UFC, Bellator 1, if I get into all those things, I'm going to have no life, bro. So I got to really restrict myself with MMA because I just be getting so addicted to MMA. So I try to steer away from it, but it's still, sometimes this shit catches my eye, with especially the PFL. I'm a big fan of, if we're talking outside the UFC. So can Yoel Romero be the champion? He's going to fight Vadim Nemkov, as I said, in February, I believe. I think it was in Ireland. Is it? No. I think Yoel's last fight was in Ireland. I think I'm getting confused. It's not in Ireland. But the thing is on CBS. Can he become champion? Look, Yoel Romero is old. I'm not going to lie. The guy is known for his chin. I thought Vadim had a really bad performance against Corey Anderson the first time when it was a no contest. Obviously Corey Anderson was winning the fight, was no contest, and Vadim wound up retaining his belt, kind of an Aljamain situation. But Vadim is, when he's good, he's good. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. I think people are counting out Yoel, though. Maybe it's just because I'm a fan, but I wouldn't count out Yoel. The guy has power. He has that wrestling, but he doesn't really use the wrestling. And I don't know. I think coming from the UFC, you're going to be a lot better than all the Bellator guys. So I think there's potential for Yoel to win this. So I'm going to say, to answer your question, can Yoel become the champion? 100% he can become the champion. Like I said, he has the power. Don't doubt anybody with that much power. The fight's at 205. I think that's not necessarily an advantage for Yoel. I know he's big for 185, but the power isn't going to be there as much as it used to be. So we're just going to have to see. I'll definitely be tuning in. It's on CBS, I believe. And yeah, I'm excited for that one. So next question comes from Cold Weed Truns. How long have you been covering MMA on YouTube? So, I've been covering MMA since before UFC 280. It was after the Nate Diaz card. It was beginning of October, mid-October, something like that, and we're not even 2 months. It's just been 2 months, and it's just crazy, the support. I've always thought about doing, some sort of MMA thing. For a while I was playing around with the idea of just doing a TikTok, just that. but I kind of like these like YouTube things more. So yeah, that's why I make the YouTube videos, and man, I just do it for fun. But yeah, I've been covering it for 2 months to answer your question. I'm not gonna try to. Last Q&A, I kept going off topic, and now I'm going off topic about how I go off topic. But I kept fucking zoning and keep droning on. That's not zoning, it's droning on and babbling about God knows what. I sound like such a fucking hater of myself. Jeez. I'm like fucking talking about babbling. What the fuck? Alright, but yeah, to answer your question, 2 months. Next up. Pulling guard 1527 says, do you think Dan Hooker can I just got a comment. Aw, you guys are too nice. I said, do you think Dan Hooker can revive himself? Yeah, I mean, so if you look at Dan Hooker, he's obviously had it rough. I mean, the guy, let me see. So he lost to Dustin, very close fight. One of my favorite fights is like of recent history. I mean, maybe one of my favorite fights of all time, I'll say. It was a good fight. You see still clips of the end of that second round, and he was doing good against Dustin. I mean, Dustin has looked like a beast as of late. But he did lose that fight, and they got knocked out by Michael Chandler. And then he won against, I don't even remember, was it Nasrat that he won against? I think it was who he fought on the prelims. And then he fought Islam, late notice, late replacement, whatever you want to say, a month later. Lost first round submission. Obviously, we know Islam is the dude right now. And, and then he went to featherweight, which was a big L for him because went down to weight class, got knocked out in the first round. Did not think that was the move for him. But then he went back up, and he, what did he say? He fought, Claudio Puelles. I don't know why I just forgot that. I fought Claudio Puelles last month. So Dan Hooker is one of those guys that's in a complicated spot because the guy has lost to the top of the division. He's lost against guys like Poirier, Chandler, and obviously Islam. So it's interesting to see if he could, where's his cap, And the fact that he had such a close fight with Dustin, I mean, a lot of people say, he's fallen off. That fight ruined him. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, the thing is, I say the same thing about Conor that I'm going to say about Dan is people shit on them, and it's like, he's washed, he's this and that. Like, people throw around washed, and people throw around the idea that you should go retire way too soon. Like, Conor lost to Dustin and Khabib. Like, let's not pretend like this guy is now fucking chopped liver here, Like, I'm not saying I'm actually not even going to say that he's not as good as he was, because just the level of competition. I mean, I think Conor's biggest problem, not to once again go off topic, but Conor's biggest problem is the weight, right? I mean, 155 clearly does not carry that much power as he did at 145. I don't know if it's necessarily that stylistically he's better or worse. I just think that the power is not there. And obviously Conor's biggest problem is fading. So if the power is not there and you're not ending the fights as quickly, that's a problem for anybody that, isn't going to have power. But my point is, but why I'm saying this is Dan Hooker is similar in the fact that he's lost to Poirier, Chandler, Islam. I mean, Chandler, I guess, doesn't really look the best, but I mean, when you look at his resume, but in the UFC at least. And, but Islam, the champ, I mean, you saw what he did to Oliveira. I mean, and Dustin, look what he did to Chandler. Look what he's done to McGregor. Look what he's done to all these guys. Dustin is legit. And the fact that Dan was be able to have such a close fight with him is impressive. So, do I think he could revive himself? Yeah, I mean, I think he could revive himself. He's really good. I mean, in that Claudio Puelles fight, you see how good Dan Hooker is. I mean, Dan Hooker is good. Like, you can't just say he's not good. I don't know where he's ranked. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Justin Gaethje. Maybe put him in Rafael Fiziev. I mean, I think him and Fiziev, I think people will write Dan Hooker off. And, I'm not saying Dan Hooker will win, but I don't think you should write Dan Hooker off in that fight. I mean, they're both good strikers, and it would be a good one to see. I mean, but I'm not saying I think Dan Hooker will win. But it'd be interesting. Or, don't put him in with Arman Sarukian. Please don't put him in with fucking Mateus Gamrot. Please don't put him in with I was gonna say Shavkat, but that's fucking welterweight. But please don't put him in with any of these fucking guys. I mean, maybe put him in with Damir Ismagulov since he's coming off of a loss. But put Dan Hooker in with like fights that, you know, don't just feed him to the wolves here, you know. And I'm not saying they can't beat Arman Sarukian, but you know, come on, we know what you're trying to do, UFC. But I wouldn't mind seeing him against Justin Gaethje. I think that would be a fun fight. I think maybe a McGregor fight, but I think McGregor's probably gonna get that Michael Chandler fight. So yeah, it's interesting. I think Justin Gaethje is the fight to make. I think both of them. I think Dan Hooker would do surprisingly well in that fight, maybe even win. I think a lot of people would be surprised. I think that's the fight that he needs to revive himself. So can he revive himself? I think so. I'm not sure where he's ranked. I could check, but it doesn't really matter. I think Justin Gaethje's like ranked number 5, and I think he's ranked number 10, something like that. You know, like, you know what? I will check. You know, because I love you guys, so I want to be accurate and see if this is possible. All right, UFC rankings. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, Gaethje's ranked number 3. Where the fuck is Dan Hooker? Oh, Dan Hooker's 11. Okay, so I don't know if that fight's going to happen. Beneil should be above Gaethje, my opinion. But I guess who's Beneil really beat? And not saying Beneil is bad. I just said in my other video that he's going to be the champion. But I just mean like in rankings, I guess you can't really put him too high. But I do like Beneil a lot. But anyway, so yeah, can Dan Hooker revive? Well, let me see the other matchups that we could put him against. Jalen Turner, Renato Moicano. Oh, Renato Moicano would be a good one. Him versus Renato Moicano. Drew Dober. But, I mean, with Dan's chin as of late, tough one. Oh, RDA. Have they fought? They probably fought before, right? Hooker. I feel like they've fought before. Could be wrong. Hooker versus RDA. No, they haven't fought. No. Yeah, that would be a good one. That would be a good fight. Him versus RDA is a good fight, but I don't know if RDA really wants that fight. I mean, he kind of seems to be keen on staying at welterweight and having fun, having those fun veteran fights for the rest of his career. I don't think he's looking to win a title, but I think I said this in my other video about Rafael when I was talking about the Orlando card. I don't think it's time for him to call quits. He looked, especially obviously, really good in that Brian Barberena fight, and he was doing pretty good in that Fiziev fight. And people love Fiziev. People say he's great. Damn, Fiziev is ranked number 6. Damn. Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, maybe him versus Fiziev. Him versus RDA. But yeah, I think he could possibly revive himself. Is it likely? If you mean revive himself as in, like, can he become the champion? It's going to be a long road. I mean, not going to lie. I mean, the guy's lost. It's going to take at least, like, I mean, if he has to do a really good year this year, you know, wins 30 fights this year, who knows? I think I've heard something, could be wrong. I mean, this is now I'm just talking about Dan Hooker. Him versus Renato Moicano in Australia. I would love to see him fight Renato Moicano. And if he fights Moicano, why not reward him with a fight like Justin Gaethje or fight with Rafael Fiziev or something like that? Someone that's a little bit higher, you know, if they'll fight him, you know. A lot of people lightweight don't want to fight people. So, yeah, anyway, I feel like I spend a lot of time on that. But, hey, Jack MMA. Hashtag MMA. I don't know what I read. Hey, Jack, love the content you've been putting out. Highly entertaining and informational. Thank you very much, by the way. Was just wondering what type of resolutions you can think of to fix the judge problem. I think verdict is a good step in the right direction, but giving fans full control of judging doesn't seem very safe and is open to bias and bot voting. Any ideas? Yeah, definitely not. The solution is definitely not fan voting. I mean, fans are idiots. Let's be real. I mean, if I were fan voting, you know, I would vote Charles Oliveira for fucking every round, you know? No, but, yeah, fan voting is definitely not the wave. There's, you know, it's obviously there's so many I don't need to explain why that's a bad idea. It's definitely a bad idea, but I do like Verdict. I do use Verdict a lot, the app. It's a good app. On the app, you could score. I shouldn't promote this because, you know, maybe I should be looking for the sponsor, but you could score and also, you know, predict the fights. It's pretty good. It's like basically kind of like betting a little bit without using money. It's like just points. And then also you could score the fights. And you could see like how other people in the world are scoring the fights and the average and things like that. So I like that app, but I have it. To answer your question, what can you do about judging? I mean, judging is one of those complicated issues that sadly, there isn't so much you could do, because at the end of the day, it comes down to human error. I think one of the first steps, and maybe I'll make a full video and I'll try to actually do some research, because this is just me doing it raw. I would love to do a video where I, let me know if you'd like to see this, where I talk about judging and I try to find things. Right now, I have to look at information, like look up exactly the judging criteria. I want to read it before I do a video. I want to read the full thing and find out what the problem is. So how do you fix it? I think one of the first things that come to my head, I think you got to fix this 10-9 system. I mean, not 10-9 necessarily, but the 10-8 system. I think there has to be some sort of guidelines. Like, we're using boxing metrics to score MMA fights. I mean, like, you're like in boxing, right? You have a knockdown, 10-8 round, right? And I remember, because like I said in my last video, I was a fan of boxing before MMA, and I remember when someone would get knocked down, I would think, oh, that's a 10-8 round. But in MMA, it's not. I mean, in a 10-8 round is kind of rare, especially in the striking. And that could fuck up a fight, like you saw with the Magomed Ankalaev fight. The 10-8 round is a controversial round. I mean, I agree with the 10-8 round. Like, I don't hate it. But more specifically, like when you look at the Israel Adesanya Jan Blachowicz fight, that was a 10-8, the one of the last rounds. Not like it mattered, because Israel was going to lose anyway, but it was a 10-8 round. And obviously there was no 10-8 in there, in my opinion. But once again, I'm not reading the criteria. So, and I think that there's a lot of problems in terms of like the visible damage rules. Like Sean Strickland, like the last fight of Sean Strickland, his nose is bleeding, but for example, like his nose, like that could just be an ongoing issue. I mean, I think his nose bled. I didn't realize this, but I saw like his nose was bleeding in the Jack Hermanson fight too. This could just be a reoccurring issue. Like, some people's noses bleed easier than others. It doesn't mean that you're doing more damage. So that's just one of the more examples of like what are the stupid things I think about judging are. And obviously judging, I feel like the thing that's so interesting about MMA, or just maybe even just the world, is that when one thing happens, I feel like a billion things happen. Like, and what I mean by that is, look, for example, the betting. That's what it was. The betting thing started October 17th, which I have a video on if you guys want to go check it out. But the betting thing started October 17th, and then it exploded throughout like in a month. Didn't even start with James Krause. It started with the UFC banning them, and then all of this stuff exploded, and there was so much news about it. And the same thing with judging. I mean, we started with, I want to say, the Paddy Pimblett fight, literally one of the worst decisions like in a while, and like an actual flat-out robbery. And then there's problems with the Magomed judging, and then there's problems with the Sean Strickland judging, and then also the day prior there was a problem with the Bellator fight with Danny Sabatello. So it's just so funny, like how everything works. But yeah, there's definitely lately, these past few weeks, there's been some big problems. I think people overreact sometimes in terms of the judging. Like, some people like Sean O'Malley, like they're like, oh, what the fuck is this judging? It's not, that was totally fair. I mean, I scored it for Sean, but it was totally fair. And even if you scored it for Jan, I get it. It was a close fight, but it was a close fight. And, but the problem with judging most of all is that it's subject to human error. And I don't know if necessarily it's a good idea to just go off stats, because there's a million examples of, when you look at the stats, they're different from how the fight went. But it sucks, yeah, because like, basketball, football, it's clear cut. If you shoot the ball in the hoop, that's it. You get the point. And that's it. But for this, it's so subjective. And I think one of the things too, and I think this will be my last thing, because like I said, I don't really do so much research on it, so I don't want to say things wrong. But one of the other things is, like, you need to hold judges accountable. I mean, this guy, what the fuck's his name? Crosby something. I want to say it's Bill Crosby, but I don't want to think. I'm pretty sure his name isn't Bill Crosby. I think I'm thinking of Bill Cosby, like the rapist, the guy. But I don't think his name is Bill. Now I'm just confused. I'm honestly, but whatever. One of those judges that scored the Sabatello fight, that went to score the Paddy fight. Hold on, I gotta look this up, because this is gonna drive me crazy, and I want to get this right. Yeah, but yeah, so like one of those judges, they fucked up. And They went from Connecticut and they went to Las Vegas in literally less than 20. Doug Crosby. It's not Bill Cosby. Doug Crosby. He goes. This is an MMA judge, Doug Crosby. For those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, he went to Connecticut to score a Bellator fight, the main event. So it was Pat Sabatella versus I can't even fucking remember, the Rafael Stouts or something like that. And basically, it was a clear 48-47 fight, close fight. I didn't watch it, but close fight. And one of the judges gave 50-45 to the other guy, like completely wrong. And so yeah, it was a little weird. That was a little weird. And then to make things worse, he's in Connecticut, takes a flight less than 24 hours. Keep in mind, like these things are till like 12 a.m. And this guy's an old dude. He takes the flight all the way to Las Vegas. And he scores the Paddy Pimblett fight for Paddy, obviously, because all three judges scored it for Paddy. You know, you can't have that. Like, who in their right mind is, like, what the fuck? Is this the only fucking judge in this world? Like, can we not get another judge? Like, what? Why are we flying out this dude from Connecticut just to bring him to fucking Las Vegas? Like, he's on another time zone less than 24 hours later. Like, is this I'm just baffled. Is he, like, the only judge in this world? Like, you can't dig up another judge? Anyway, but, you know, I guess you could also make a conspiracy theory that maybe this guy's, you know, in cahoots with the UFC trying to get the guy that they want in. But there's a lot of people I saw especially Ariel Helwani, kind of imply that Doug Crosby, or is it Crosby or Crosby? Crosby. You know, Doug Crosby kind of, what's the word? That he kind of picks who wins the fights based on who he wants the promotion to win, because he wants to be in good graces with the promotion. And yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, and the thing that's so weird is too, I'm just gonna make this last point, is like, there's people on the internet that would do a million times better, you know, not to build myself up, but I would do definitely better than this Doug Crosby guy, right? I think most people that are fans of MMA would do better than the Doug Crosby guy, but the thing is, you gotta find people that don't have biasy. It's hard. It's really hard. Judging is a lot more difficult. You know, it's easy to say, oh, judging sucks, but then it's a lot harder to come up with a solution. So I want to come up with a solution. Maybe that'll be a video of mine to make, especially because this whole month is like no UFC. What the fuck am I supposed to do videos on? They're killing me here. But yeah, so definitely that's something that I've been thinking about for the past few weeks now, making that video. So maybe I'll start collecting some data on that. All right, next question. I'd love to hear more commentary. I would like. Let me repeat. All right, this is from. Oh no, so I forgot. This is from Dynamite Knight. All right, I'd like to hear more commentary on the current status of MMA as it pertains to weight cutting. It's always been something I've disliked, but understood. When Izzy fought Pereira, it felt like watching David vs. Goliath. I'm not singling out Alex, and he's deserving middleweight champ. My concern is for fighters themselves and the health of the sport. I don't see anything changing until someone faces a life-altering consequences as a result of weight cutting. While imperfect, the hydration test isn't a bad start. I could see the weight classes being realigned and add another division or two. What are your thoughts on the topic? Yeah, so the way I see it, there's really two ways you can avoid this. If weight cutting is an issue, one, more weight divisions, obviously, easy choice. And, you know, there's a lot of people that go to 155, like Dustin, because there isn't like a 160, 165 division, you know, and this 170 is too big for them. So there's people like that. So, and 165 is the most popular, but I'm sure there's a lot, like 185 to 205, there's a 20-pound difference, right? I mean, I think Pereira and maybe even Izzy would fight at 195 if there was a 195 division. So, yeah, and especially as a 50-pound jump from 155, as you get to the higher weight classes, there's such a huge jump. And yeah, so that would be one of the solutions, like you said, just adding more weight classes. Doesn't seem like the UFC is interested in adding more weight classes. And one of the other things you could do is, yeah, I agree. I think this thing is going to take someone suffering a serious sickness. I mean, sometimes you see people faint on the scale. Sometimes you see people get hurt. I mean, or, you know, have to pull out of the fight, do it, and, you know, get cramping, this and that. And it sucks. But, and I agree to a certain extent, even though it's tough. Like, at the same time, like I said, someone asked me something similar in my last Q&A. It was about Habib and weight cutting, and it's the same thing as like, you know, and then how he's a weight bully or whatever was the last question. But, you know, I still feel like if you can make it to the scale, I don't have a problem with you cutting so much weight. You know, like Alex Pereira almost missed weight by like, and I mean, he started at his camp at like something like 230, something crazy like that. And I mean, I don't have a problem if you make it to the scale. Alex made it to the scale barely. Hamzat, I have a problem with. You know, you're 8 pounds, you're 8 pounds overweight. That's what I'm talking about. You're 8 pounds overweight. Like, you know, what's up? Yo, I forgot to get the Diet Coke. I'm supposed to bring a Diet Coke every single time. I'm gonna need to hold up your video. Hold up, yo. It's 30 minutes already. I think I answered like fucking 2 questions. Did I? Oh no, I answered like 5. All right, we gotta speed this along. But yeah, I forgot. The Diet Coke is the staple of the Q&A. So to answer your question, yeah, weight cutting is dangerous. I could see what you mean, and you know, I can only imagine. You know, part of me. This is a crazy video, but let me know what you guys think of this. I always wanted. Well, I've been thinking about for a while. Not recently, and this isn't something I seriously consider, but I've always thought about doing like a video where I cut weight, like, and see how low I can get to. I think though I say it out loud, and it sounds so stupid, and it sounds so dangerous, and it's like, why the fuck would I do that? But just to give people the idea of like how hard it is to cut weight, you know, and see how low I can get, weigh myself, you know, naturally, and then go weight cutting, you know. So I'd have to see. Like Usman probably cuts OD, obviously. Alex Pereira cuts OD, and they cut a lot. So, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, my thoughts on the topic, I answered it. Like I said, I think if you make it to the scale, it's fine. But yeah, I agree. Things could be dangerous, and I think especially that 205 division, the 205 to 185 is such a huge jump. I think you could have something in between that. So yeah, I think that's fair. More weight classes. You can do the dehydration test, or in kickboxing. I think what they do is in kickboxing is they weigh you the day of the fight. Not in all kickboxing, but in certain things they weigh you the day of the fight, and that's something you could do. I mean, the only thing I don't like about that idea is I'm afraid that some fighters will risk it and still dehydrate themselves, and it's not at all good to dehydrate yourself like 6 hours before you fight. Like, definitely not. I mean, it's barely even good to dehydrate yourself 24 hours before you fight. So, yeah. Or you could hold weigh-ins earlier, but that's pretty much like against. I think that's like a state issue. Don't think you can do that. But yeah, that's the answer to your question. All right, I gotta hurry this up because, I mean, fuck this. I don't need to hurry this up. You know, if you guys are into this, you guys are into this. Ignoring how realistic it is, do you think it's a good idea to do cross promotion fights? Unifying. Oh, I guess I mean unifying champ. Oh, I think I'm the idiot. Oh no, you did spell it wrong. So I don't feel like an idiot anymore. Oh no, I am an idiot. Unifying championships, or just separate events. Where they line up certain fighters just because it's an interesting event. The UFC doesn't really need others, but it's a chance to promote the sport and get a foot in markets when they aren't as big, and where there are more fighters from more lighter weight classes. So I get what you mean. So yeah, obviously the cross promoting is a big thing. There's that cross promotion Bellator and Bellator and Ryzen event that's coming up. I think it's end of the month. I might do some coverage on that because what the fuck else am I going to recover? But you know, that event I'm not going to watch. I'm going to watch anyway. But yeah, so there's that fight. I mean, there's that card, and cross promotion. It's risky because at the end of the day, you're risking a lot. Like, for example, PFL says, you know, Bellator, let's do cross promotion. Cyborg, Kayla Harrison, which is the fight that everyone wants to see. You know, if PFL, which Kayla Harrison just lost, but let's pretend this is when she was undefeated, and the big deal. Let's say like Cyborg sparks Kayla Harrison. I mean, PFL looks like an idiot. I mean, the PFL looks like a bunch of morons, and that's really that. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to do because you're risking a lot, and I think that's why a lot of people don't do it. That's why the UFC doesn't really go into boxing, because look, if like you send, let's just say Masvidal to box Jake Paul, and Jake Paul knocks him out, you know, UFC, not just Jorge Masvidal, but the UFC looks like an idiot. So it's definitely risky. I would, of course, as a fan, love to see some certain matchups like AJ McKee. I think AJ McKee did lose some hype because he lost this year, but back then, I mean, there was a lot of hype for AJ McKee. Maybe you have him in. I mean, I just want to see AJ McKee in the UFC. I don't really care about cross-promoting, but especially Kayla Harrison, that's probably where the cross-promoting thing was. I mean, she also lost. I keep forgetting. She lost, but at the time, that's probably where they would have cross-promoted Kayla Harrison and Nunez. But it's terrible for the UFC if like someone from the PFL, Bellator, beat one of their fighters, especially the UFC, because they're on top. Like, why would you even give them their chance? So from their end, I get why it's stupid, but on our end, I think it would be fun. And I get what you're saying about the lighter weight classes like flyweight. That's if the UFC fighters win. But if they lose, they look like idiots. All right, love the vid. Here's a question for you. Your top 5 fighters was just ones you like the most. So not my like top 5 greatest of all time. Just 5 that I like. I like Oliveira, of course. I think you guys already know. I had one of my Kevin Holland, Wonder Boy. I like McGregor, of course. Who doesn't like McGregor? Come on. Like, even if you fucking don't like McGregor, you like McGregor. Come on. I was gonna say, I mean, there's so many like Anderson, but I don't want to say Anderson because, you know, doesn't even fight anymore, really. I mean, he does the boxing, I guess, but I mean, there's a few boxers I like. I like Tyson Fury. He's kind of rubbed me the wrong way these days, but I did used to really love Tyson Fury. Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz was like one of my first like, holy shit, I'm such a fan, favorite boxers. I'm trying to think. Fighters I like. I have one more. I'm like drawing a blank. I mean, there's a whole lot. Like, I like Beneil. I like obviously Tony Ferguson. I mean, who doesn't like Tony Ferguson? Like, I can say the obvious ones. I'm trying to think of a little bit better ones. I just thought of someone and then I lost it. Brandon Moreno. I like. Oh, Corey Sandhagen, I'll say. That'll be my 5th one. You know, I just wanted to give you guys some, like, weird ones. I don't want to give you guys some obvious ones. So, yeah, that's my answer. Next question. What did you think of UFC 281? Really specific. Well, no, I guess not really specific. I think they probably commented under my 282 recap. So, what did I think of 281? I have a video I'll leave, you know, in the corner. My full, like, reaction. I was actually there at MSG. So, that was great. I loved being there. And UFC events are fun. Especially at pretty good seats. What did I think of? I mean, that card, being there was a little annoying just because there were so many fast finishes that I would have to wait like 20 to 30 minutes between each fight because it would end so fast. So there was that. I believe there was only like 2 or 3 decisions. 281 was definitely, I mean, I'm going to be doing a video ranking my favorite pay-per-views from worst to best. Definitely up there. I'll say that. I don't want to give too much away, but definitely up there. That was a crazy one. Crazy pay-per-view. Adesanya obviously losing. You know, the whole finish is on the main card. Main card was super solid. Was super hyped from the jump out that card. Like everybody was. But yeah, so I really enjoyed 281. All right, great question. All right, 3 questions for this one. What are your goals for 2023 for this channel? Should I answer one at a time? I guess I'll just say them all. How do you choose what material to cover? And what is your experience with mixed martial arts personally? Okay. So to answer your first question, what are my goals for 2023? You know, like I said, just to build momentum, you know, hopefully get in the same conversation as like a lot of these bigger guys, like, you know, MMA Guru, you know, I like MMA Guru a lot. I'm trying to think, like, you know, what are some other, like, content? Like, I want to get in that conversation, you know, like the Weasel. I don't really watch the Weasel, but I know who he is. Yeah, just get in the conversation with those guys. Hopefully by the end of 2023. I hope to have, some of the MMA Twitter people knowing who I am, knowing I'm good at breakdowns, and, appreciating my content is what I hope for. And also 2023, I want to get as well a big interview. I want something, and I have big interviews. I don't want to discredit any of the people that's come on here. I've enjoyed every single one of them, and I'm appreciative of their time. But I want someone like a McGregor or Dana. I would love something like that. Not to just, like I said, I don't want to shit on the other people that's been on here and say, oh, they're not big. No, they're all great. Every single person I've had on here, I'm extremely grateful for their time, and I genuinely mean that. But so I want someone like a Connor. I don't think that's realistic, but like a real life interview too. That's more of a dream, I think, more than a goal. But how do you choose what material to cover? That'd be crazy though. I wanted to say real quick, that would be crazy. Imagine like there needs to be some TikToks like, oh, me saying that, and then it happens. That'd be some crazy shit. But how do you choose what material to cover? So, I'm under the impression, and I've always been under the impression, is like, look, do what you want to do, have fun, and people will see that. I told some people this that DM me about their channel. I'm like, if you're gonna be focused on like what gets views, this and that, then it's not gonna translate well. For example, I can't even remember the video I made yesterday. There's a video I made yesterday that I kind of put out. I was like, I don't think this will do that many views because I don't think a lot of people are interested. It did surprisingly a lot of views, actually. I was surprised about how much views it did. I thought it would do 1K, if maybe it'll get to 1K, maybe. It got like 3K, something like that. And I was like, oh shit. It was champions by the end of 2023. I was like, I don't know if this is something that people will be interested in. And how do I choose what video topics? Just whatever comes to mind. I mean, there's like news. Obviously I make like fight predictions. It's gonna be hard. I mean, this month is gonna really come to the test of what I can come up with, because it's all gonna be a hard month. There's no UFC, basically, boxing. I mean, there's the Gervonta Davis fight I'll probably cover because there's nothing else going on. There's the KSI fight, the Dylan Dennis. I want to do some videos about that. And yeah, I just try to cover like what I love, just whatever I think is going to be fun to talk about, because like I said, I think it'll translate on the screen. How do you choose? Oh, I just read that one. What is your experience with mixed martial arts, if you want to get into it? So, as I said in my last video, despite what the comments think, that I'm just a blubber that is glued to this chair, I do train MMA. My personal experience, like I said, my last video I kind of answered this. I don't remember it was a little bit different, but I did boxing. I've done boxing for a really long time, and I've recently gotten to like jiu-jitsu, and like within the past year I got into jiu-jitsu, and more kickboxing, and what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, just like MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. I mean, I said MMA, but jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, judo, things like that. So, and I kind of want to do more. Well, I mean, I already do so much, but I like doing it too because it gives me insight. I talked about this because the question was, how does it affect, talking about fights? So yeah, because people in the comments, they always just assume they're like, oh, first of all, that's just, I talked about this in my last Q&A, like, why are you gonna say like, oh, I just fine, then don't listen to my opinion, but like, why the fuck are you gonna comment like, oh, you didn't do it? Like, I swear, like, these people think you gotta be a 50-0 fighter to give an opinion on who do you think is gonna win, Adesanya or Pereira. Like, it's a fucking opinion at the end of the day. Jeez. All right, next question. Why do you think Dana is hyping Paddy so much? I love your videos so much, and you. Well, this, for those guys don't know, is my loving girlfriend. She made the cut. I had a debate, whether or not to add the question, but guess I added it. So, shout out to her, 'cause she always be supporting me, and and all that. But so to answer the question, why do you think Dana's hyping up Paddy so much? Well, first of all, you spell Paddy wrong. You casual. No, I'm kidding. I just joke. I always say that she's a casual, but so why is he hyping up Paddy so much? I mean, Paddy, obviously, it's one of those things with Paddy. I don't think he's as big of a star that he makes himself out to be. clearly, like I did a video about how he's delusional, and he is a big star, though. I mean, because the video about him did get a lot of views, and clearly people like to talk about him. And I think his star power is only going to go up because people hate him. And I said that in my video. And I said, like, that this is a good thing, that he should play into it. And I don't have anything against him. It's not like I'm, like, fucking hate him with all my soul. I'm not saying I love him, you know, but it's not like he's, like, my favorite fighter. But I don't, you know, he's, like, all right. But why do I think Dana's hyping him up? Money. I mean, you know, I feel like what I was going to say originally is, like, I feel like Paddy has manifested it almost. Like, from this first UFC fight, he said, oh, I'm a pay-per-view draw, I'm this and that. Like, really, I would love to see the UFC 282 numbers. Like, let's see this UFC 282 numbers. You're the co-main event, big spot. Let's see these pay-per-view numbers. If you're that big of a star, this thing should do decent. Probably didn't do decent, you know. And obviously, the main event was not so marketable, in my opinion, especially in American markets. But if you're Paddy, let's see these pay-per-view numbers, man. Let's see this. But probably not so good. I don't think he's as big of a star as he is, and I think this is a hype train that is going to die fast. If I'm the UFC right now, I've realized Paddy is going to lose. Like, Paddy is not making it to the top. And the other thing I want to say is people were I saw some comments saying, like, oh, well, Paddy could change. I never said Paddy can't change. My main point, which people missed, was if Paddy said, hey, like, I know I have my chin up in my fight, something I'm working on, I'm trying to get better, I wouldn't even have made the video. I wouldn't have. I almost spelled that. I wouldn't have made the video. But the thing was he says, oh, it's not a problem. And that's why he's delusional. That's why he is delusional. And hence why the title of the video. But, yeah, I think if I'm the UFC, though, I just feed him to guys like Terrence McKinney. Use him to build up Terrence McKinney, because Terrence McKinney is an actually talented guy. Or Jalen Turner, or something like that. And then eventually feed, you know, Paddy to a winnable fight like Tony, and then cut Paddy, get him out of the promotion. I mean, the dude's like 30. I mean, he's not like a prospect. He's not like this 20-year-old that's, you know, could get, like, he's kind of a finished product at this point. I mean, I'm not saying that he can't get better, but, you know, he could get better, but he's made it clear that he doesn't think he needs to get better, so that's why he's delusional. I got 2 more questions. I'd like to see your take on the whole journey of Jorge Masvidal, from a decent journeyman to main eventer to feud with Colby. You've got interesting takes, so it'd be a good video. Yeah, I'm gonna just do. I just added this in my Q&A. I didn't want to make a whole video about this, but definitely Jorge is a guy that I've had interesting thoughts on. So I remember, you know, UFC. He was in UFC 2 around the time that he fought Usman the first time. I don't know what number it was off the top of the head, but whenever he fought Usman the first time, I was just like, yo, like, this dude is, like, overrated. You know, like, people are overrating him. Like, the dude got lucky with that Ben Askren knockout, this and that. Then the dude gets knocked out cold by Usman, and I feel like all these people did a 360, where now we're shitting on Jorge Masvidal, and I'm defending Masvidal. First of all, I think people now shit on him way too much. I don't think he deserves as much shit as he gets. I actually did pick him to beat Colby, which is funny after we've seen the fight. But I picked him to beat Colby. I thought that he had good takedown defense enough for Colby. And, you know, that Colby fight was a really bad one for him. And, yeah, so from decent journeyman, obviously, and to main eventer, he's still a big star. I mean, I think he's sells good amount of pay-per-views. Of him and McGregor fight, that's massive. And the whole Colby situation is just, I think that shit is just so pathetic, man. Like, the fact that you had 25 minutes to beat this guy. You couldn't beat this guy. So your option is to sneak up on him and sucker punch him from behind with a bunch of your guys, really? Like, you're a fighter. You get paid for this. Like, the only reason he did this was because he lost the fight. Like, let's not fucking tiptoe around this. He did this because he lost the fight. He was pissed that he lost the fight. He was pissed that he got out wrestled. He was pissed that he can't beat him. He lost the fight. He didn't like it's not a coincidence that he just lost the fight and then he went to fucking jump him, you know? It is what it is. So yeah, so that's my opinion on Jorge Masvidal. I think he's shitted on now way too much. All right, and last question, how did you get those interviews with these fighters? I want to add this one to give people advice. I listen to, obviously, MMA Hour a lot, and, you know, that kind of inspired me a little bit. You know, I saw him doing interviews with fighters, and I think Ariel does it so well, and I think he's definitely one of the best interviewers in the game. But definitely, like, he talked about doing, like, you know, how he used to message fighters on MySpace and ask for interviews, and I was like, I could do the same thing, dude. Like, there's even more social media. So I began emailing a bunch of fighters that won. I want to remember, not that it's important, some fight, I think it was the no, I don't think it was the Alexa. Oh no, yeah, it was the Alexa Grasso card with Viviana Araujo, and I emailed a bunch of the winners from that, and Sadiq Yusuf responded, which was one of the guys that I thought was not going to respond, and he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it tomorrow. And I was so nervous, like my heart was like racing doing it. I was like so incredibly nervous, but the guy was so chill. The interview's up, and that's my first ever video on the channel. And yeah, I was fucking so nervous, and I was in totally also a different place. Like, I wasn't even, this setup wasn't even a thing. I was over there, which you guys can't see, but it was my computer. And yeah, it was just me recording myself and with Sadiq, and it was totally different. But yeah, so that's what's up. That was how I got the interview, is I email fighters. I usually send emails to whoever's fighting. I started doing, I've kind of been lacking in that department. I want to do more interviews. I have an interview maybe coming up, a pretty good one that I'm excited about. But yeah, like it's you know, I'm trying to do more. You know, I want to do ones like two weeks in advance. And the Aljamain one, I did that because he did some sort of like open workout at the gym that I'm in New York. So I had to drive like a little over an hour to the gym. And I went there, interviewed fighters, Marab, Ray Longo. Matt Fravello was there. I didn't interview him, but I should have. Aljamain Sterling was there. Obviously, I interviewed him. So that's how I got the interviews. So that's going to conclude this Q&A. I'll drink one more. Happy holidays, everyone. Hope you guys have a good Christmas. And next week will be the last Q&A of the year. Comment your questions, what you want to know. And yeah, I'll see you guys. And I'm sorry if this is so long, but anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.